So, welcome to Jaws in the Mediterranean Part 2. Because of some technical issues, I have been now forced to start this video a couple of times, but I will hold a watchful eye on this stream and see if the OBS is cooperating or not. So, the objective of this second part of the Jaws in the Mediterranean is to give people maybe a more technical description of the animal, great white shark, while the first part was more about the existence of the animal, foremost in Croatia and subsidiary, or on the second place, Italy. So we can begin with the list that we created the last time, and we can add one potentially dangerous shark for people, as we unfortunately saw in Egypt. And it is the mako shark, which is related to the great white family of sharks, and which unfortunately can swim 100 kilometers per hour. And it is by this the fastest one of the fastest sharks in the sea. So we can continue with the second part of Jaws in Mediterranean, and we begin with the question: where can you get attacked by a great white? The scientists have been looking at different scenarios, and they have been looking all from the point at the time in the day, morning, night, mid-afternoon. They have been looking at different months in a year. They found that there was a slight increase of attacks by great white in July for some reason, but even that wasn't enough. There wasn't any firm point that you can recognize. After they have been looking at where and when you can get attacked by the great white, the scientists found that the 80% or 79% of attacks by a great white were done at the surface. So there we have one very important point, that the 70% of attacks have been happening on the surface. To that I can quickly add one closely related thing, and that's the two groups of entities in the sea, of us people that have been attacked, and one group that is standing in the foreground for the attacks. It is the divers. On the later years, there is another group that have been targeted, and it is surfers. Since we are talking about the condition in the Croatian waters, and we touched upon Italy a little bit, we can focus on the divers. while in, for example, the States or Australia or other parts of the world, we have divers and surfers attacked. So now we have that point covered. I just took a little look at my list and saw that we called the great white a passenger shark. I will make a little bit better explanation of the shark, and I will write traveler shark because it travels around the oceans. That would be a more precise description. Now, when we are talking about the technical part of the animal, once again we will be covering the attacks, and it is important to say that most of the attacks, if we have the sea, now this will not be a nice pictures, it will be how it is, but if this is the sea, level sea or surface, most of the attacks, I will just try to put here a human. It is not, it looks like a fly, but anyway, most of the attacks have happened from below. And here is the 79% of attacks that occur, that happen, they happen at the surface. Most of the attacks happen from below and up, and some of the attacks, they come from behind. And there is in real life cases of both. We have one woman who was swimming outside of Chilean coast of Chile, and her leg was taken off by a shark from behind. Unfortunately, in Australia, we had recently one swimmer who was attacked from below. So there are attacks are happening like this. In the first part of the Jaws in the Mediterranean, we talk about attack in Piombino and Golfo di Baratti. And in that case, we had one diver, if you remember from the first part of the Jaws in the Mediterranean. And this diver was attacked, if I'm not mistaken, underwater, after he swam up to the surface, as witness said, and the shark was circling around this diver. It was making circles. This is not without a reason that the shark does that. The shark does the circles because in their world they bite the victim. They are waiting for the victim to bleed out, and they are circling the victim, and then later they eat the victim. The circling around is not without a reason for other things also. The great white is protecting itself by circling around, because it knows that the victim will try to survive, maybe has claws, maybe has teeth, and it will wait for a while. It has been suggested that the diver in Piombino, Golfo di Baratti, was doing some other activities and not diving and spearfishing. Unfortunately, I think that he was diving, because the way they described it, that the shark was circling, is a typical great white behavior when they attack. The circling around is a typical attack behavior. Now we can talk about something else. Okay, I wish my my eraser was bigger, but it doesn't really matter. We will only be using the lower part. So I will write one line, or I will paint one line here, or draw one line here, and I will draw one line here. This will be my timeline. And this will be my count line. Oops, count. It will not be pretty, but I mean, it is what it is. We had letters also. Let's see. Count. Time. We can see time. This one I will take away. This diagram can be applied both to, yeah, you can say Europe, Italy, Croatia. Of course, the great white is not as common as in the States, for example, but it can have some impact. Less, but we can look at it. And we will talk about something interesting. In the beginning, maybe 1900s, there was a lot of both seals and great whites. A G, great white, S, seal. And they are high, you see, count, they are high on the diagram. There are a lot of them. It is 1900s here, 1900s. And suddenly they have been hunted in the 1900s. They have been hunted, seals. They dropped the seals. There are not many seals because they were hunted. At the same time, I said to you in the first part that the food is important for the great white, as for all the animals. The great white dropped. There are not so many great whites. Here we have people. They are swimming. So this is very P as people. This is a very simplistic diagram, but you will see what happens. People, there are not so many of them. As the time went by, so this is the 1900s, as the time went by, the people started to go to the water more. They are going, more people is in the water. As the society progressed, people don't want to have anarchy. They don't want to have wars. They don't want to have I don't know, disturbances in the society. So people are creating order, and they are creating legislation, laws. So when they created these laws can, for example, protect the seals. They say, no, you can't hunt any more seals. No, there is no possibility more. We have to protect these animals. Since that happened, the seals started to rise in number. The seals are rising in number. So you can see that seals are rising, and they are making contact with people here, the seals. At the same time, the seals are rising in numbers. Also, the predator, great white, is rising in numbers. And they are also coming to this point where the people are. People, great white. And the seals, they also crossed this people line. When this happens, YouTube viewers, then you have attacks on people by great whites, because there is more people in the water, and there is a greater probability of the great white attacking people. So this is the legislative impact on the shark attacks on people, impact on the number of seals, and impact on number of great whites. One thing that we can mention for the states, it is not so important for maybe for the European parts. This is how we deal with this. Is the introduction of the short surfer board. This is for the States part and Australia and South Africa. The short surfer board, this is the picture from the bottom. If we looked from the bottom, if we were a shark and we are looking up, we will see this. Since there is a human being on this board, there will be a head, there will be arms, and there will be legs. This will look like a seal, unfortunately. And this is why many attacks happened in the States and Australia. It was the introduction of the short surf board. So this is maybe not so important for the European great white, but around the world. Next thing that we will talk about, this is something I called the power system. This is something I called the power system, and it is very important when you are talking about the great white. For me, it is the perfect name, personally. So, the power system. I begin by defining the power system by letting you observe this picture. Maybe you have been wondering why the great white has the mouth open. You have been maybe wondering, some of you. it looks like it's laughing. The mouth is open. Well, there is a reason for that too. Now I'm beginning with with my drawings, but in any case, yeah, it's not the best in the world, but there it is. Observe the 5 gills. 2, 3, 5. The power system. Okay. So now we have this great white, and we can see that the mouth is open on the animal. It is always open. For the great white to be able to breathe, it has to swim. When this great white is swimming in this direction or any other it chooses, there is a flow of water inside the mouth of the great white. The water is intercepted through the mouth. The water goes through the mouth and outside of the gills. It's a circulation that happens. So the oxygenated water is coming through the mouth and it is going outside of the gills. That's very important. This water is oxygen rich, and this oxygen rich water will go to the gills, and the gills will take up the oxygen. The oxygen will be transported further. The oxygen is transported by the arteries. There are two systems, arteries and veins. I will not go into specifics, but my point is that the fresh water oxygenated is coming to the gills from the mouth, and it is transported to the muscles of the fish. The great white is swimming, and when it's swimming, the muscles are contracting. The powerful muscles are creating heat when they are contracted. The blood comes to the muscles and leaves oxygen to the muscle and picks up the heat from the contracting muscle and transports it further. This makes the great white a warm-blooded animal. It makes it like a mammal and not a fish. This will mean that this circulative system, the power system, is a circulative system by which the shark is taking water in, oxygenated water. The oxygenated water is hitting the gills, and the arteries are picking up this water. The this oxygen, and the oxygen is going with the blood to the muscles. The muscles take up the oxygen, and the blood takes the warmth from the contracting muscles, and as I said before, it transports it further, and this is a circulative process. In the end, this blood will come again to the gills, and the process will go again. So it is two main things that do this transport system. It is the arteries and the veins. Those two are creating this very important circulative power system with the heat. By this effective power system, the great white is not expending any energy on pumping water, not so ever, not so slightly. The other sharks, they can rest on the bed floor by pumping water through the gills. Great white doesn't. It doesn't. There is no expenditure on pumping water. This is a pure. If I can write it for you, it's a propulsion system, and it's a jet plane propulsion system. It reminds of that. So this is the power system, and shortly the water, oxygenated, rich in oxygen, comes through mouth. It is picked up in the gills. The oxygen goes with the blood to the muscle, and it oxygenates the muscle. The blood, the muscle is in heat because it is contracting, the fish is swimming, and the blood is taking up the heat from the muscle and transporting it further to make the fish be warm-blooded, and the blood comes back to the gills again to be oxygenated. So there you have it. That's pretty impressive stuff, for me at least. So now we have the power system, and this will lead to a retaining metabolic heat, which will give the great white more strength. If you remember, in the part 1 of Jaws in the Mediterranean, I told you that this great white has 45% more strength than a fish of equal size. So there you have it. Mind-blowing, just mind-blowing. Yeah, then we can cover something that I call the fine print. The fine print, and the fine print okay, here I go again. A little bit three-dimensional. I'm trying to put this right thin there. So, oh, the tail was not so bad. Yeah, but I have to admit I don't have any bigger control on the pen's movement, so it is what it is. So okay, let's go into the fine print. We begin by dividing the fish. Let me just do something here. by dividing the fish in parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Don't forget the 5 gills. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can take it. We will put some points here, small. They are very important, this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeps. Let us begin at the tail. This is a very interesting tail, and we can categorize it as a tuna tail. It is almost symmetric, and this powerful tail gives the great white the capability of swimming at speeds of 50 kilometers per hour. 50 kilometers per hour. This was the part 1. Part 2, there is something happening here. There is something growing here, or something a growth here. This looks like something like this. You see? This is exaggerated, but let us call it for some kind of and it is more sharp. It is sharp, and it is going from here and up. It is a water cutter. This is a water cutter. So when this powerful tail is making movements, like all fish do, you see, left to right, this cutter will further enhance the movement of the fish. It will cut to the water. This is a water cutter here. So that's even more power for the fish when it is swimming. It's a water cutter there. 1, 2, 3. Part 3. We have this dorsal fin, and it is famous from the movies. When people see that, yeah, we all have a heart attack when you see that in the sea. So this dorsal fin makes the fish not roll. It stabilizes the fish, so it is horizontal and not rolling around. Here we have the 5 gills, which we covered in the power system part of this video. We had the power system, if you remember that. And we count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth part of the fish. A mammal, because they are warm-blooded. Almost a mammal, because they are warm-blooded. Here we have something which is called ampullae of Lorenzini. These small points, they are black. These small points, they are very enhanced, and they are very sophisticated, these ones. I will call them Lorenzini. Lorenzini can be characterized as a sonar and a detector of electric impulses and signals. In theory, the great white can sense struggling fish or fish in distress from miles away. So imagine this sophisticated apparatus that is there. These points, small black points, ampullae of Lorenzini. um, it's a detector. This detector, ampule of Lorenzini, senses the corrosion of the metal. When the metal is going bad, it is corroded. It becomes, orange, and the metal is decaying. There is a decay of the metal. This great white can sense that with this ampule of Lorenzini, and it is because of that the great white sometimes bites on metal and attacks boats because of the corroding metal. It is somehow mistaking the corrosion for impulses, and then it bites the metal because it is corroding. So there you have it. Then we also come to the teeth, and we had that in part 1 of this video about the teeth. And yeah, we said that they come in sequences. So there is one row is one tooth is lost, there is another tooth waiting to replace. For the great white, it is a meaning that it will lose a tooth. It is no problem. It is supposed to lose a tooth. There is already another tooth waiting and coming. So now we have talked about the fine print, and let us talk about the byte sequence, something I call the byte sequence. Let's go to another. Another white paper, and this will be the byte sequence. So I am trying to somehow draw a breaching shark, great white. There is the nose, and it will be water here. Something that is typical for the great white. This one is breaching. We can say that the attack was from below. This one is breaching. So body here. There is a byte sequence for this animal, and we can here differentiate between the upper jaw and the lower jaw. The lower jaw can take the flesh or the animal, or God forbid humans, and these teeth here will hold and impale the victim, while the upper jaw is loose. The upper jaw is loose. So I will write here upper jaw just to make it simple. And here we will have lower jaw. So this lower jaw will hold the victim, and it can impale, and the upper jaw is loose and can reach. It can reach. I'll just take this pen. The upper jaw, now imagine the upper jaw from the profile. It can reach. So I will now try to draw this from the side. this upper jaw can go a little bit outside. See how it came outside the jaw. I'm exaggerating, it went this way, but this jaw can reach outside. This jaw, the lower jaw, it is fixed. It will impale and hold the victim, and the upper jaw will overreach. Why will the jaw overreach? There is an explanation for that. The upper jaw will overreach, it will go outside because the victim will try to escape, because it is impaled on the lower jaw. There it's impaled, but it could maybe escape. Not so quickly, the Great White says. The upper jaw will extend and will grab the escaping victim. It will grab it. The upper jaw will make sure that the victim doesn't escape. So there you have a little sequence of the bite. One important part of the bite sequence is also that in one point in time there will be a maximum distance between the lower jaw and the upper jaw. There will be a maximum distance in this bite sequence. So everything that the scientists have seen, they have been slowing down the bite process of the Great White, and they saw a common pattern in the bite sequence. So there is a sequence. It is not a stupid sequence. Everything has its why. Everything. Yeah, a little bit of coffee there. So remember that in some point in time there will be a maximum space between the upper and lower jaw. This can be also like a loading power bite that is also about to happen, because this is going to crush everything. So now you have a little bit about the bite sequence, and the nose will be up from the water in this bite sequence. It's a classic. This is a classic things we are covering now. When this happens, the eyes will roll back tailwards. The eyes are going backwards, and they are covered with the white material that the shark has, with a white material. Why? Because there is an explanation also for that. The escaping victim is in distress. This is life or death matter, and the escaping victim will do everything possible to escape. It will use claws, it will use teeth, it will use anything. So the nature prepared the Great White and gave it the protection with rolling the eyes, and they are covered by this white material. I don't remember right now what that was, the white, but they are protected. One important thing with also the Great White, which is making it different from the other fishes. We can say that this is a little juvenile shark. Great White. Trying with my dimensional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gills. It is interesting because a newly born individual by great white is 80 kilograms. Now this can quickly change because the great white can go up to a weight of 50 times than its initial weight. So that's a pretty big animal. It's about 4 tons. I said to you before that that a great white, if I'm not mistaken, can grow up to 3,000 kilograms. Forget it. Make that 3,000 kilograms plus. 3,000 kilograms plus. And the interesting thing about this animal, it is the possibility for them to grow in length. And I think it's called girth. They have a sizable girth. There is a substantial girth also for the animal. We can also talk about something that happened around San Francisco in 1981. I call it the monster of 1981. And there was a surfer. I told you before about these short boards that were people made up. And this surfer was attacked by a substantially big great white, one of the biggest. They said something about the length, and I think the length was about 6 or 7 meters. So keep in mind that there are even bigger great whites out there, even bigger. So now we will see if I have anything else. We have been talking about the bite sequence before, and the bite sequence before, I will just quickly draw this breaching shark again. It's not the beautiful picture. So we have the upper jaw, and we have the lower jaw, and this is breaching from the water. Nose is always up when it breaches. It's a classical bite sequence, and the attacks happen like this. The efficiency of this bite and attack is as follows. The great white manages to consume or separate this amount of meat or flesh from the victim. 15 kilograms flesh in less than 1 second. Now that's you see what that is. I don't have to describe it. 15 kilograms of flesh in less than 1 second. This is maybe what I eat in 3 days if I'm really eating. This goes away in less than 1 second. When people were observing feeding great whites, when the great whites were feeding, they observed that the great white consumed 100 kilograms of flesh in front of them, just like that, and the fish got bigger from these 100 kilograms. So you see, it is nothing for them to consume big amounts of flesh. So there you have it. A little bit short from me about this animal, and I saved the title for this video for the end. I called it Jaws in the Mediterranean Part 2, and I will add a subtitle to this video, considering everything that we covered in the first and the second part, and it will be the main title, Jaws in the Mediterranean Part 2, as we saw, and the title will be the Super Predator. So this was a little bit about the great white. We went a little bit to the technical parts of the great white, and in the first part it was a little bit more geographical, and yeah, also some technical stuff, but in this I felt that I wanted to give more justice to the great white, and describe what an absolutely ferocious super predator this animal is. So thank you for watching this video. If I see that I forgot something, there will be a part 3 of this video, if I discover that I forget something. So this is all from me. Thank you for watching. This was the Jaws in the Mediterranean Part 2, the Super Predator. We went through more through technical stuff, information about the great white. Thank you for watching, and bye.